Shalom, and welcome to Da'ati Live at 8:30. I appreciate everybody's attendance, and thank you again for your questions, your inquiries, and your curiosities. It's what makes Da'ati move the way it does. Tonight's question is coming from Suzanne. The question has to do with the Messiah. She asked, what is the thing that brings the Messiah? Not messianic identity. We know, of course, that Judaism and Christianity differ as to the identity of the Messiah. So I like this question because putting that on the side, how do we as individuals today on earth who are spiritually minded, how do we bring the Messiah? What do we do? How do we contribute? Phenomenal question. So Suzanne, I appreciate that, and hopefully we can give it some justice. Let's dive right in. So there's an ancient rabbinical text that's called Yalkut Shimoni. The Yalkut Shimoni is a collection, a Yalkut of different rabbinical insights. And regarding the exodus from Egypt, the rabbis asked the question, in what merit did the people come out? How did they liberate? How did they, after 210 years of oppressive exile, how did they emancipate themselves to the future? Answer the rabbis, this occurred because of faith. Faith is the reason that they merited to remove themselves from exile. So our sages tell us the following. Just like in the days of Egypt, faith is what took you out then, so too today faith will take you out now. So now comes the real question. Okay, if faith is the key, what is faith? I'm not talking about the philosophical meaning, I believe in something abstract, something bigger than me. I'm talking about functionally. How does one really have faith? How do we know? So now we get deeper into the original anatomy of the Hebrew. The word faith in Hebrew, emunah. Emunah. If you look at the word in Hebrew, the word is really a composite of two parts. Muna, which can be read, the one counts. The one counts, or counting from one. So what does faith really mean? It means that anything I see, anything that occurs to me, spiritually, physically, emotionally, psychologically, if I can find the one in it, find the divine purpose, find the actual divine reason, and latch on to that, that's faith. If I don't see it, but I say to myself, despite the fact my mental capabilities don't have the sophistication to see it, I nonetheless know God is there. God is right there, hiding beneath the surface, motivating and moving the scene. That is faith. Seeing the one in all things, be it in actuality or be it in practice. I just don't see it truthfully, but I know God is there. That is faith. So now comes the question. If faith in Hebrew, emunah, aleph mona, aleph counts, one counts, means the power to see God in everything, how does that have anything to do with coming out of Egypt back then and coming out of the exile today in the Messianic future? Why does that bring the Messiah? So one very beautiful thing is a story that's brought in the Holy Zohar. The Zohar is a rabbinical text of Kabbalah, of Jewish mysticism, the deeper spiritual tradition. And the story goes like this very simply. The story says, Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia were walking on the street. They suddenly saw a rider on a horse come riding by them. He charged into a garden, and as the horse was running in a garden that wasn't his, the feet of the horse were uprooting the seeds out of the earth. He then reaches up, grabs a branch above him on a tree, and pulls it right off the tree. Okay, these phenomena happen, right? It's like somebody in a car today just sort of speeding past you and hitting the sidewall and hitting somebody else, and you would look at it and go, okay, it's a reckless driver. But Rabbi Yossi and Rabbi Chia have a different interpretation. Rabbi Yossi then looks at it and says, the fact that the rider went into a garden that wasn't his, that is, do not trespass, right? Like don't steal, don't go into property that isn't your own. His horse then uprooted the seeds of earth that he himself didn't actually have to do anything about. He didn't reap the crops, he didn't sow, he didn't do any part of the preparation of it. He went into somebody else's territory, and the horse ruined the seeds that had been sowed inside. He then reached up and pulled a branch off a tree for no good reason. So he split the branch of a tree. Rabbi Yossi says, when a person comes to do a sin, the first act of the horse moving the seeds out of the earth, it leads to another sin, grabbing the tree and dislodging, breaking the branch. So he inferred from that seemingly random event of the rider and the garden and what occurred a very, very deep lesson called Avera Gorer Avera, a sin leads to a sin. So, okay, we have the story, we have the outcome. The Rabbi of Lubavitch asks the following question. Why did Rabbi Yossi need to derive that out of that event? He's a wise man. He can sit and think about it and go, you know what? God tells my soul that if you do this, you do that. You do bad, more bad comes. You do good, more good comes. Why did Rabbi Yossi have to infer that or learn that out of a worldly event? The rider, the garden, the seeds, the branch. Why that? So the Rebbe says something genius. He says, because the way we understand God, to really bring God out of hiding, we have to see him in worldly events. We have to capture him then. If we can see him then, that is the Messianic era. To say it another way, when we derive or cultivate the ability to find God even in the events around us, the daily happenings, those random encounters, those moments that of serendipity or moments of apparent randomness, when we can find God in that, that brings God out of hiding. The ultimate revelation of God no longer hiding, called Galui Elokut Mamash, God coming out in reality, is called the Messiah. That's why faith does it. Faith, one counts, looks for God in all things. How do we do it? Search for God even in common everyday worldly experiences. If you do that, you discard what's called the levush, the garment, and you bring God out. You reveal God in the everyday world. That is messianic consciousness. That's how we do it. So I hope that answered the question. Thank you very much for the question. And again, as a quick summary, faith is the act in Hebrew, emunah, aleph moneh, of counting all from one, looking for God in all things. How do we do it? Similar to the story, Rabbi Chia, Rabbi Yossi, the horse, the rider, the seeds, the branch. Look for God in the common things. Find God in your every event. If we practice that, then the biocentric expression, the projection of a people on earth who see God in all things, is God revealing himself in actuality. Be blessed. Have a wonderful evening. I look forward to seeing you again next time, next Wednesday, live.